Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that we're closing in on the year-end season. I know schedules, calendars are filling up and are busy. You got tons of stuff to do. So I'm really super grateful that you are taking this hour to devote to learning how to improve your year-end donation pages. I know John has put a lot of work in, even just over this past year, in pulling together a lot of just interesting insights and ideas and tactics that we can apply to these types of donation pages so you can use these insights that you're going to hear today in order to grow donations and ultimately revenue and have an awesome year-end campaign in December. Before we get into the depths of the webinar with John, there's a couple of things that I want to tell you about. Number one, we actually just last week we had our first ever in-person online fundraising certification workshop here at the Next After office. We will be starting doing these training events once a month for the first 6 months of 2019. We're trying them out, but you can, through these certification courses, these in-person events, get certified in email fundraising optimization, donation pages and landing pages, and donor acquisition through Facebook. You can find out more about those at nextafter.com/training. They're really cool events. You'll be able to interact with the whole Next After team, get questions, ask your fundraising questions, get answers to things related to data and technology and all these other things in addition to the actual certification course. So check that out, nextafter.com/training. And then secondly, the Nonprofit Innovation and Optimization Summit 2019 is on the calendar, September 24th through 25th. 2019 is going to be hosted in Denver, Colorado at the Ellie Calkins Theater. We just have a few people on site this week checking it out, scoping out the venue, and it's super cool. You're going to love it. But it's 2 days in September. We'll have 16 plus speakers coming in really from around the world, bringing new insights and ideas from a lot of them from the for-profit space, but with a lot of interesting innovations and ideas that you can apply to fundraising in your nonprofit digital marketing in order to grow results, grow your impact, and grow your revenue. So it's a super cool event. Check it out at niosummit.com. You can learn more about it. You can view testimonials from previous attendees. You can view all the videos of sessions and speakers from the past couple of years. Then ultimately, you can get your tickets. Again, that's niosummit.com, neosummit.com. So check that out. And then a few housekeeping things before we kick things off. A lot of people have asked this even just in the past hour, as I sent an email out a little bit ago about the webinar. Is there a recording? The answer is yes. We are recording this whole webinar. This evening, we'll send you the video, we'll send you the slides, we'll also send you links to some different resources that can help you generate some new ideas to test in December. And then along the way, if you have any questions that come up, a thought that comes into your brain, jot it down or put it in the little chat box to the right of your screen, or if you're on your mobile device, it's just below the video player. Enter your question in there. We will do our best to get to them in the Q&A time that we have at the end. Try to reserve a good amount of time to just answer your questions and have a little bit of back and forth about how to really optimize these year-end donation pages. So again, drop your questions in the chat box and we'll try to get to those at the very end. Without further ado, I'm going to throw things over to the Jacksonville office, to Jon Powell. He is our Senior Director of Research and Education. Again, he's put a ton of time and a ton of work into preparing the webinar for you today, drawing out these different insights that you can apply to your year-end donation page. So I won't take up any more of his time. John, it's all you.
All right, great. Thanks, Nathan. So today I would like to talk a little bit about your year-end donation page. And you're thinking year-end donation page, you mean my general donation page? Not exactly, okay? So by the end of this session, you're going to have a ton of different ideas that you can test. And some of them are so low risk that you should probably just implement them, okay? Before this, basically the Super Bowl of fundraising happens, and it starts as soon as November 15, as you might have heard from the last webinar. So let's go ahead and get started. And let me ask you this. So I hope you're not planning to send all of your ad traffic, all of your direct mail traffic, and even all of your email traffic to one page, right? Is it okay? Is it not okay? John, you're saying it sounds like it's not okay. Well, who knows? Well, we've done some experimentation around this, and I'd like to share with you an experiment, right? And here's the experiment. The question is this: which of these two donation pages that I'm going to show you will increase donations, if at all? Because sometimes you run a test, nothing happens, right? There's no statistically significant difference. So let's take a look. Okay, here are the two donation pages. This is this is a conservative organization, so again, there's a lot we can learn from both sides of the fence. If you've been through our year-end course, I even show you examples on complete opposite sides of the same types of emails, the same types of fundraising materials, so that you can learn from both. Okay, so here's one of the ones on the right side of the table. Would you guess right away which one of these would win? Or would you say, John, don't play that trick on me. I have one really important question. What's the important question? What is the one question that you need to answer before you can actually have a chance at picking the right one? Okay? That's the first thing, okay? That's the first thing. And that question is this: where are visitors to this page coming from? What are they seeing? Let me show you that. This is where they're coming from. They're coming from an email. Looks like this, okay? It's a year-end email, right? Actually, no, this is a fiscal year-end email. So some kind of a campaign here. Very similar in principle, okay? They don't have as much of the deadline, but it's very similar in the way it's handled, okay? If you take a look at the email, you might say, oh, okay, it's an email coming in. They're coming in on a donate link, support the work, okay, yeah, I think that's good. But I want you to take a closer look, all right? I want you to take a closer look, and I'm going to help you understand what's really important, okay? If this email is going here, is it going to be a match? Are people going to come here and be surprised? Or are they going to feel any kind of jolt, any kind of shock? Or is everything going to be cool, right? Let's go back to the email, okay? Let's take a look, all right? Take a look at what we've highlighted here. What are you seeing here? The daily signal, the daily signal, the daily signal. I would argue that this is a daily signal. This is like a daily signal email. This is about supporting the work of the Daily Signal, which is like a news site. It's like an alternative news site that focuses a little bit more on certain issues, right? Than just say maybe your normal news site, okay? Now, if you look at that and you see all the emphasis on the Daily Signal, the Daily Signal, the Daily Signal, let me ask you a question. Do you see that same emphasis on the donation page? I'm looking at it, and you know what? I'm not seeing it, because the team originally decided that, the team from this organization originally said, hey, why don't we just send them to this page? It's already ready already, right? It should be okay. Because when people click, they're ready to donate, right? Well, they decided to run an experiment. Somebody on the team had a hypothesis. They said, what if we're not talking enough about the Daily Signal? And so they decided, okay, well, let's go ahead and change the headline. Let's go ahead and add the little logo there, okay? And let's talk about it a little bit while keeping the name of the parent organization still in play. What was the difference? Was there any difference? Well, if you guessed that there might be a difference, you're correct. Not only there was a 272% increase in donations, but that's not all. There was also a 40% increase in average gift, leading to a 420% relative increase in revenue when you compare one versus the other. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Okay, they both came from the same email. How is it possible that one group, how is it possible that one group is this much more ready to donate and give more than the other group? That's the big question that I want to kind of address here. Because when we send all of the different traffic, like the direct mail pieces that we're sending out, when we do emails, okay, when we have ads, and we send them all to the donation page, the same general donation page, right? We've already assumed that the sale, if that's what you want to call it, has been made, or that the decision has been made, right? Well, let's talk about this for a minute. Would you agree with me that there is a difference between, say, buying a gift and giving a gift like money? Is there a difference? You say, okay, yeah, sure. What is that difference? What does that look like in the mind of somebody going through the process to decide whether they should buy something or whether they should give something? Okay. Well, I'd like to show you a little graph that I've pulled out of our free courses online to help you understand what's really going on. Okay. I would argue that both the not-for-profit and for-profit are very similar here. Okay. There's something that interrupts them. Okay. Right. There's something that interrupts them. And then you engage them, okay? And then there's a time and point where you have to make a decision on whether you're going to buy the thing or whether you're going to give the gift. Now, that's very similar between both of them. But there's one major difference that I've discovered in the not-for-profit space, and it wasn't just me. Tim taught me this, okay? I actually spent 10 plus years in the for-profit space doing experimentation, working with very big companies, organizations, Verizon Wireless, H&R Block, Active Network. I worked directly with those organizations in helping improve their website and helping get basically more people to buy stuff. But this is the one thing that stumped me, and now I get it. Now I figured it out, okay? Because when they get to this moment of decision, for the not-for-profits, the moment of climax, or the highest level of satisfaction actually occurs here. It's like there's an emotional climax that happens here. When it comes to buying something, that usually happens when you get the thing, okay? You have this anticipation. You're like, yes, I'm going to buy the thing. You get to the cart, you sit in it, now you're in anticipation. I'm like, oh, only 1 day shipping? Why can't it get here in 2 hours? Where are you, Amazon, 2 hours or whatever it is? Okay, we're getting more and more impatient, right? But it's that anticipation. And then when we finally get the item, there's this moment of satisfaction. But that doesn't happen, okay, when you give a gift. When you give a gift, you don't all of a sudden be like, yeah, I gave the gift. No, because the reason why you gave a gift, right, the emotional impact that led you to do that, right, was not some anticipation that occurred after you get. It's different. It occurs before, okay? It occurs before. And what happens is when that thing happens, there's this conversion horizon that exists. Okay, let me go ahead and give you an example. I went ahead and prematurely clicked on that slide. Let me go ahead and give you an example. Now, if you were here last month, we talked a lot about year-end emails. And for 2017, I went through 6,000 some emails to try and find examples that you guys could mimic. Okay, and that's all there in the online course that's free, ready for you. But I wanted to pull out one particular example that really stopped me. And there were only like 20 emails that stopped me out of those 6,000, okay? And it was this one, okay? This was a testimonial email, and it's from a group called Angel Tree. And here you have this kid holding a basketball. Now, what in the world, how is that relevant to me? What is that relevant to you, okay? Now, I want you to just listen to me as I read the story, because I'm going to read the story in the email. I want you to just listen. I want you to engage in, don't look at the email, I want you to listen. I'm going to read to you the story, and you tell me what you think. Okay? Mark's story is a great example of what you do for prisoners' children through Angel Tree is so significant. He was just 7 years old when his dad was locked up, for whatever reason, we don't know. It was almost impossible to visit because the prison was a 3-hour drive and Mark's family was way too poor to afford the trip. 5 Christmases passed. Mark was sure that his dad had forgotten him, right? But that's not what he thinks anymore. You see, last year, with Christmas getting closer, Mark's dad signed him up for Angel Tree, and his eyes lit up when he opened his gift. It was a brand new, beautiful basketball, right? And for a boy who loves sports, it was perfect. But to the surprise of Mark's mom, he didn't remove the basketball from its box. In fact, he never played with it, even though the basketball is his favorite sport. Instead, he placed his brand new basketball on a shelf in his room next to some of his trophies received. Months later, the basketball is still on that shelf, but the reason is no longer a mystery. It's just a reminder of how much my dad loves me, Mark explains. It's a reminder of how special it is to me. So, he doesn't get to see his dad very often, but when he looks at that basketball, it's almost as if his dad is there to give him a giant hug, right? Now, when I read that the first time, I'm like, okay, where's the donate button, right? I don't even know this organization. I have no relationship with this organization. But when they got me into the story, and I got engrossed in the story, and all of a sudden they hit me with the climax, and I'm like, wow, I don't even know this organization. I'm like ready to donate, okay? And as you can see, it's down there. I read this email off to the certification group that was at Next After Plano office in Texas just last week, and it had the same sort of effect. It's like, where's the donate button, okay? Like, we're ready, Like, listen, we just experienced, I don't know if you did or not, but if you did, if you experienced some kind of an emotional pull, like it's in a Pixar movie or something, that is the emotional climax. And look at where it happened. It happened in the email. But here's the thing. They still have to donate. They still have to make their way down. It says, but there's another prisoner's child who still needs that hope. And then it says you have a chance to do that, okay? Now that emotional climax has occurred, that's what's driving somebody to want to give a gift, okay? It's either it's something that they already know and you just reawakened them, okay? Maybe it's another testimonial. Maybe there's something that you've said in your email and your direct mail piece that's caught their attention. Maybe that's awakened them. Maybe it's helped them see your organization in a new light. But that's where the climax happens. But now you've got to manage that, okay, to the point of actually giving a gift. Because if you don't, right, if you don't, this is going to come. And what's going to happen is there's going to be threats, okay, right? The emotional spell, okay, you want to call it the Pixar spell or whatever it is, okay, the emotional connection and investment that you have begins to fade and fade and fade the longer and longer and longer it happens from that point. So we've got to actually steward them, lead them to that point where they can kind of they can actually complete that act of wanting to be generous, okay? They've made a decision, right? But now they have to complete it. Now the question is what are these threats? What are these things right here that could get in the way and take somebody's generosity and basically kill it? Okay? And what are some of the things that we can do to accelerate it, right? To get them moving faster and faster and faster, okay? Because remember, we're interrupting them. If we're sending them a direct mail piece, does anybody like to go through their direct mail for fun? Okay? Their email, listen, I like to escape the email, but you know, I've got a lot of emails to look at. Okay? And then while I'm in the email, if I'm too long into it, I might start feeling guilty because maybe I actually should be working, right? There's this pull, this back and forth, right? And so what we have to do is we have to increase the emotions and awareness to generosity, okay? And we have to reduce those connected to, well, ungenerosity or not generosity or something else, doing something else, okay? That's what we have to do. That emotional climax grabs them. It gets their attention, it focuses them, but now we have to lead that focus into action, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about today, right? That's why you can't just send everybody to a general donation page, because if you send them to a general donation page, you're basically leaving them to figure it out for themselves and hoping that the emotional climax was high enough for them to get through all of the other things that are slowing them down, stopping them, distracting them, irritating them, etc. Right? So how do I amplify that generosity? How do I get them to move faster towards making that gift? And how do I prevent it from being inhibited? And finally, is there anything else that I can do after I grab their attention? Not good. Is there anything else that I should be doing that final week? Well, our goal is by the end of this webinar, you'll understand how to do that. And I apologize for that little interruption. I actually dropped the mic. Believe it or not, it happens, right? This is live. So why don't we go ahead and get into all these different tactics? Let's go. 7 core strategies. Okay, I'm going to give you 7 core strategies. 4 of them are going to help you enable or accelerate generosity. Okay? These are your friends. 3 of them are going to be strategies to prevent inhibition. Like they're attacking things that shouldn't be there. Okay, they're just generosity killers. Okay, that makes a total of 7. So let's start with the 4 ones that you want. These are the 4 good ones. These are the good things. Okay, and the first one is this: you need to increase clarity. And when I say clarity, I mean, where am I at? What exactly is at stake here? How again am I involved? Okay, these people have questions, right? And the funny thing is that you answered initially some of these questions in their email on the direct mail piece, but they get to the page, they want to make sure, okay, is this still on the same subject? Because remember, they were pulled in by something specific. Is it still the same thing? Okay, now that I get the story, now how again exactly do I make, like people have questions, they need clarity, okay? Let me show you some examples, okay? There are a lot of opportunities to increase clarity, okay? You can see I've got 5 of them. 5, here's some examples. Let's start with the top. Let's start with the headline, okay? Right away, where am I at? I'm here. Am I here to help secure Liberty's future, or I'm here to make my year-end gift? Listen, if it was a year-end gift call to action that I clicked on, then I need to make sure, if that's the motivation, if that's the reason why I'm coming in, then you better make sure that I feel like I'm in the right place, okay? Make your year-end gift. In this case, there are at least 11% more donations. So there's a small chunk of people that got confused. They were like, wait a minute, I think I'm in the wrong place. So, you know, maybe I'm gonna go find the right place, and then guess what? They got distracted, something pulled them away, and they didn't do it, okay? One headline, that was the only change on this page. It was a donation page. Here's another version, okay? Sometimes it's not necessarily, okay, where am I at, really, really specific. Sometimes it's just clarity in what I'm being asked, right? You make this person's website possible, or you help, or this website helps them stay connected to family and friends. You make this possible. So sometimes that means clarifying the effect of what it is that you're doing, the value that you add, the impact that you're having. I'm sorry, when I say you're, I mean the donor. The impact that the donor is having, the effect that the donor is having by participating, by giving you their gift, okay? So it can go both ways. You can combine the two, okay? You could say, make your year-end gift now, and then subheadline, by making your year-end gift now, you'll be doing whatever it is that you said in the email, right? This one was 21.1% increase in donations. But it's not just the headline, you have that opportunity, even though it's a big one. It's the body message too, right? Take a look. I love this. This is a year-end test, okay? And it's the same subject. They're talking about the same things. The difference is that you can help your year-end gift, thanks to you, your financial support, and now your year-end gift, because of your donations, your trailblazing. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on, right? The policy experts here, truth is power, this, like there's not enough of that donor focus. Had an effect, at least on this many people, 22.9% increase in donations. Again, I'll take it, right? I'll take any of these, okay? That's generosity left on the table, okay? Some people, they must have, when they were reading the one on the left, they must have felt disconnected, okay? Because they didn't have that clarity. They came in, you had them, but then you lost them, okay? Right? Another example, let's talk about just even taking your general donation page on that final week, okay, the final week, all right? And then adding that little bit of end of week clarity. Now, in the tests that we've run, we have not seen massive gains, okay? This is literally a general donation page update for the final week, okay? In this case, it was only 12.2% increase in donations, and it was approaching validity, meaning I wasn't able to collect enough data in that time frame for the particular site we were working with to validate that. And I've got a couple others in the library too, where it's like 10 or 12%, almost validated, not quite, right? Okay, those are just turning general donation pages into year-end donation pages, okay? But the more impactful thing that you can do, okay, is to match what it is that you're saying in the email or in the direct mail piece and to the specific page that you're sending it to. And I've got a lot of those examples where the gain is much higher and it validates, even during the last week of the campaign, okay? I can't spend too much time on it. We've got a lot more tactics to go on, right? Background image. Don't just throw in a stock image, okay? Don't just throw in a stock image of two. What does that mean, right? Just throw something that's representative of your organization or what it is that you do, okay? This is just, again, it's helping them to, again, understand what is really at stake here, okay? That's what you're really trying to do. You help them be very clear. This is what's at stake. When you give a gift, these are the values at play, and this is the value that you're promoting. And this is the value that you're getting rid of. You know, maybe it's, feeling loneliness, and then now it's togetherness, right? When it comes to story, here's a little side quest for you. Bob McKee, when he teaches story, he's like the doctor of screenplays in Hollywood, right? You've heard me reference him a number of times. Bob McKee says that values in story are always binary. There's two, okay? They're always opposing, okay? And in a good story, there's always opposing values, okay? And one end it's the good, and the other end it's the bad. It's the opposite of it, okay? I want you to ensure that your images, your copy, everything is promoting that positive value, that value that's part of the story that they identify with, that they want to see more of, okay? Not the opposite one, okay? You need to align with those things. You need every part of your page to play in that story that you're telling, okay? 19.8% in that case, okay? Maybe you'll get 5, maybe you'll get 10%, but in this case, it was a little bit more. Inline premiums. If you're going to do this, if you've tested this, show it, okay? Show it, all right? If there's a little bit more than this, show it. Thank you. 10.6% increase in average gift just by showing it, even though it was written, okay? Show it. Finally, form field headers. This is a great little opportunity, okay? Choose your donation amount, 1, 2, 3. Here's the best part, enter your information. It's secure. Really? Yes, it is secure, but it needs to be clear. You need to be 100% clear on security. We're going to talk a little bit more about security later, okay? Use your headers as an opportunity to be clear on what it is that you want them to do, okay? And why, in some cases. 12.5% increase in that situation. Now, I gave you the first one, now I'm going to give you the second one. We're going to keep moving faster and faster and faster, okay? This is intensify attentiveness. This is the second enabler this is the thing that I want you to do, okay? I want you to promote the suspension of disbelief and the suspension of distraction. What is the suspension of disbelief, right? Great example would be something along the lines, think about movies, think about fantasy movies for a minute, right? Like Harry Potter, Expelliarmus, right? Okay, they live in this world of magic, right? Isn't there like a Harry Potter movie like out now, another one, but Harry's not in it? Okay, right? Here's the thing about that, all right? I'm turning it to black so you don't get distracted by him wanding, casting his spell. The reason why we're not like hogwash is because there's a great story. There's a method that's being used in the telling of the tale that's so adapted to the way we humans operate, the way we process information, that we forget about the things that are completely unbelievable, okay? That are completely cheeseball, that are completely like make us laugh, okay? Because every movie, every fantasy flick especially, has a little bit of something in there. But the key to beating that is telling a good story, because story is one of those things, or story form is one of those methods that helps draw us in and forget about those other things. Here's the thing. We're fighting that desire to get back to what they were doing. We have to keep them close, okay? So here's some things that we've discovered, some ways to intensify that attentiveness so they stay close to our story, close to our page. Okay, here's a couple of things, right? First thing is a very strategic use of graphics, not just to make the page pretty, right? But sometimes to communicate information. Instead of bullets, Kevin, who ran this test, decided to make a little, it's almost kind of infographic-ish, not quite ad, it doesn't look quite like an ad, but it definitely is a lot faster to process than the text. The result here was a significant increase in donations. Another one, body copy format. This is one of my favorites, okay? Take a look. If you take a look here on the left, it looks and feels like a resume. Very bulleted, headers. And you know what? It's got a good start. You can, but the problem is that it's so bulleted that it's so easy to just skim, okay? We don't want people skimming through the page. You want your people skimming through a general donation page, but if they're coming from a specific campaign that grabbed their attention, that arrested their attention, and got them to be emotionally invested in that moment, you don't want them having any distance from it. You want them closer, tighter. And that narrative form here on the right helped to do that. It helped to tell that story, to keep them engaged, okay? Bullets are just permission to disengage, or to kind of stay 50,000 foot. Okay, bullets are kind of like, I'm just looking down from the plane, okay? Right? It's not ground level. For a campaign that you're running, you need to be more ground level, okay? Unless it's that very, very last week. The result here was 18.4% more. Another thing, design elements. All I'm going to say here is make sure that they can read it, okay? Use your design elements to just, again, help them to read. Like, the problem with this page over here is that it's so difficult to read, okay? And it's literally quite the same. It's not like this one used bullets and this one didn't. They both used bullets. They both used the exact same text. But the problem is that one was harder to read than the other. And it didn't do so well. Didn't do so well, right? Just something to keep in mind. Finally, let's talk about video. You're like, oh, video. But you just showed me video, right? No. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying about video, okay? Let me tell you about video. when it comes to bringing people into the beginning of a relationship, it's absolutely great. It's amazing. If you're in Facebook, okay, you're trying to bring people, you're trying to capture people's attention just to get them to know about an organization, you're doing a stewardship email, yes, video is great. But when they've already made their decision, they are emotionally invested, okay, and you send them to something they have to sit 3 or 4 minutes through, right? What's going to happen? And the director's made all the choices for them. So the director could be showing them the wrong images, playing the wrong music, okay? But if you just give them a transcript, they could play it in their own minds at their own speed, which allows them to stay close and tight, okay? And to not create any distance, okay? By the decisions the director has made. That's so wonderful. Ask anybody that loved the book but hated the movie. Why did they hate the movie so much? It's not like the director just tossed money here and there. They tried hard. They really tried hard. They don't want to create something that's bad. It's because their choices were not the same as your choices, okay? So in this case, when you've got somebody that's already emotionally invested, you captured them, they've already had the climax, you want them to move at their own pace with their own images in mind when it comes to this, okay? That's why we've got to be careful about some of these things, you know? An image, okay, great, but a video, you're pulling them away too long, too far. So I would discourage that, okay? In this case, it was significant difference. Now, the good news is in some cases we've run this test and it was no difference, okay? So if you've already made a video, you already have your plans, well, you might be able to gamble and might be okay. But there's enough risk here. If you haven't, don't plan on it. Don't do it. Or reassign it to like a stewardship email that primes them for the donation ask. We've just went through 2. Let's go through the third one. This is to increase urgency. This one's really quick. Really obvious, right? We want to accelerate the need to complete, okay? What are things that we can use to accelerate the need to complete? A countdown clock, right? Even though it seems silly, it's a graphical representation of the natural deadline that's about to occur, especially with calendar year end, okay? You got a match, you got something, even more so. Here's one that we ran in the last, this is actually a fiscal year end I want to show you. So even in the fiscal year end where that deadline isn't as strong, there's 12.6% increase in donations. And then for an actual calendar year end version, let's take a look. In this case, it was a 68.1% increase in donations. Now, again, are you going to get 68%? I don't know. You know, you may only get 0. You may get 0 detectable difference. But my point is I've never seen a test where this is actually rescue donations, where it actually hurt donations. This is one of those things that can only help you. But there's something that I should tell you that it's really important for you to know. This is something that will only help you in the final days. Take a look. Here's an actual data poll. If you look at the orange line, that represents a treatment with a countdown clock, okay? If you look at the blue line, that is without. Look what happens. See, it's kind of, they're like crisscrossing back and forth. There's no real difference, no real winner constantly. But look what happens when you get to those final days. They start tracking farther. Look, they're tracking together now like a rock formation. The best tests have like a rock formation looking like, look, where one is on top of the other constantly. That tells me that there's a little bit of gain to be had there. So if you have the ability, throw a countdown clock last few days, it can only help you, especially on even your general donation page, okay? Next, number 4, we're halfway through, okay? This is to add social influence. What we want to do is we want to simulate kind of that social encouragement, right? You know, have you ever been on the edge of something and you needed just somebody to kind of like give you that extra little assurance, right? Or maybe you needed to feel like other people were in it too. This happens a lot with my wife. She's like, well, if my sister does it, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Or if this, like, that's just how we're wired. It's a bias that we have. Well, we can actually create that effect on a page, right? One of those ways we create that effect is with a progress meter, right? Everybody wants to be part of something that's winning, that's about to win. They want to contribute to something that's making a difference. Progress meters help do that. Take a look. I have a year-end version of this that I didn't put in here that was, again, really simple. Very much the same thing, right? One's with, one's without. Okay, these are just screenshots, so clearly they didn't just add this after the goal was already made. Okay, look, due to they have the same thing, right? 20.5% increase in revenue per visitor. The other case study that I mentioned that is not in this deck was like a 7% increase. okay, in donations, okay? So the amount of difference may vary, but the point is that just like the other one, progress meters really start to have that effect as the closer and closer it comes to completion, because it's like a bandwagon effect. It's like, oh, everybody else is doing it and we're winning, okay? Let's come together and let's it's just a bias, right? That's how we create that effect. Next, recent gift callouts. Let me warn you about this, okay? By calling out recent gifts, you can make a difference in generosity. The problem is that if the gifts are too low, you can decrease your average gift, okay? Listen, the average gift here that they're pushing, the minimum they're pushing is 50, okay? But look, everybody here is like 25, 30, 25. Like, no wonder the average gift dropped, because now they're showing these amounts as if people are giving them permission, right? So if you're going to do recent gift callouts, make sure that if you're trying to achieve a certain average gift size, that you only show those recent gifts that have been made that are at or above that average gift size. That's my recommendation, right? But this study has been done a number of times. It's in a book that Brady teaches on the academic level, and we can share that with you if you're interested. Now, we talked about the 4. We'll review them, don't worry, at the end. Let's talk about the 3 generosity inhibitors, the things we want to get rid of. They're part of our 7 strategies, okay? The first thing that we want to get rid of is this disconnect relationally. I'll call it unmet relational expectations. They come to the page and they experience this, whoa, this was not what I was expecting. This isn't what I was hoping for. I showed you a slight example of that with the headline version in Clarity, right? Okay, that was just a slight, but that wasn't entirely the case there. But let me show you some case studies where it's entirely the case, okay? We're going to talk about the introduction copy, okay? Let's take a look at it. Okay, you can't see the email, but the email that sent people here was all about a free resource, okay? This is about, I think in this case, it was a religious organization. Here's a free resource, and if you donate, we'll give you this resource. So you can get a better understanding of the Bible, okay? And they go into it a little bit more here. But here, hardly anything about the Bible. Okay, a little bit, but it's all about allowing harvest ministry. So it makes a transition too quick, even though the copy is the same, okay? This starts off where the email left off, and the difference was significant, okay? Significant. So my advice to you, if you're sending people, okay, from an email and you've talked about something, you've created an expectation that you're going to continue to talk about it. Or when they come to make a donation, it's going to be towards that thing that grabbed their attention, okay? We know this to be true because we do this, what we call them instant donation pages, but they're like free offer donation pages. I give you a free ebook, okay? And then right after you get the ebook, good job. Would you like to make a gift? Okay, you want to know the way in which we can convince people to act on that gratefulness is if we say, would you like to make a gift so that other people can get the thing that you just got, right? It matches. But when you say, would you like to make a gift for some other reason? They're like, wait a minute, I don't really know you that well yet. We just got connected, okay? So you've got to match. It's got to match. Make sure it matches, okay? Another one, the gift array. I'm going to challenge you to look at your data, okay? And I want you to compare your average gift size for your year-end and your year-end pages to maybe your normal times or other channels and ask, is it a little bit higher than the others? Because if it is it possible that you're getting in people's way by giving them a gift array? Gift array is like guides. It's a suggestion. I want to suggest that you give $250, right? I want to suggest that you give $100. But have you ever had a waiter or waitress suggest that you give 18% even though you weren't expecting it? You might have given more, but you decided, even though it said additional tip, you're like, no, because they popped it in there. They didn't trust me. That's why these open-ended gifts can sometimes increase donations without negatively affecting average gift. Okay? This is not a surefire win, though. This is not the first thing that you change or the first thing that you test. In fact, I would test this before implementing it. So make sure, but I just want you to have this idea. And the reason why this happens is because people come in with something in their mind, and then we tell them no, okay? You want to know what's worse? What's worse is this. Don't do this, okay? Don't come in asking for a gift and then try to force them into a monthly gift. Don't force them, okay? Don't have it pre-selected, okay? Right? Most people, when they come in, especially to these year-end campaigns, unless it says in the email, make your monthly gift, unless you've primed them, prepped them, and it's like monthly, 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 they are probably wanting to make a single gift. And what happens is when you change the default back to where it's supposed to be, you're going to experience not just more gifts, but more money, okay? Keep in mind that when we compared the metrics, we weren't just comparing what happened at the moment. We were comparing the average lifetime value of a donor on this side. Now, what's a way around that? A great way around that, check out our library and database, it's like a pop-up. After they've already submitted their single gift, and before it takes them to the final thank you page, it says, wait, would you consider? Okay, we're testing all kinds of different variations. It's an idea. We've already validated it a couple times. Would you consider changing your single one-time gift to a monthly gift? But if not, it's cool. We'll process your one-time gift. We've made that work. So that's kind of a little bit of an alternative for you. We've got a whole recurring gift study that you can go check out. I'd encourage you to do so if you're curious about that. Okay? Now, the second bad thing, the thing that pours that ice-cold water on somebody that's feeling warm and grateful, that's going to be flow interruptions. Wait, what? What? Okay, right? It's giving somebody permission to get distracted and to work on something else, to go somewhere else, to do something else, okay? Here's how it's represented. In the header, it's represented by a donate button, and this donate button is going to scroll you all the way down to the form. You're like, yeah, this is eliminating friction, except that you're going past all of the copy and the issues, the things that are answering their questions. That's what you're skipping, right? We think that their decision is done. It is not done. They need a little bit of reassurance. They need a little bit more detail. They need a little bit more context, okay? You've captured them emotionally. Now you need to finish it. But that's not just rushing them, okay? Let them process all of the additional information, all the detail, okay? In this case, by taking that shortcut away, we're able to increase average gift and gifts, okay? Alternate payment methods, namely, be careful with PayPal. If you've tested it, great, wonderful. But why was PayPal such a problem here? Okay, look at what happened. Okay, you know what's funny is that PayPal is like hidden. It's hard to see. But here's what happens. If you've ever paid for anything with PayPal, you got to leave somebody's site and you got to go through PayPal's process. And if they get stuck at any point, you cannot help them. You cannot manage their experience. They're totally on their own. And that's why, in this case, donations dropped, especially at this time. Now, nowadays, I would say if I added a PayPal button, I wouldn't expect maybe more than a 10 or 20% decrease, okay, if that. Okay, some people maybe increase. I may get some of you say, hey, John, I've tried that. It works for me. Great. But before you just go and implement it, be careful, okay? Be careful. Next, verification pages. I don't know about you, but at a glance, this looks like I'm done. All right, it looks like I'm done, except that this button says process donation. Let me ask you, how many people forgot? A lot of people forgot. A lot of people forgot to hit that button, and guess what? The organization lost out. Don't have a verification page, just go straight to the thank you. They can always call you and get a refund, right? It's not like you're gonna hold their money and run away with it, right? Okay, you could just make it clear, but don't let them, it's a lot worse to let them think that they finished than it is to have them made a mistake and then be able to just call you and ask for a refund, okay? Just do that. The last thing, the last bad thing, okay, is when we forget to reassure them, their safety and their impact, okay? This kind of strikes me as odd because you would think that they would remember what you said, right? You would think that they would remember what they read. When they get to that donate button, you would think. Except what we found is the opposite, okay? Take a look. Just under the buttons, All this did is remind them, your donation will do what? Advance this, do that. I don't know, that looks like a joke to me, but it's not, it's real. The data is real. Don't forget to summarize it for them. And then when they get down to the payment, don't forget to let them know that they're in a secure area, even though you would never send them to an unsecure page. It's illegal for you to do that, right? But they don't know that. You have to remind them. Use a little shading. Use a little icon that you can get out of Word, Microsoft Word, okay? And you know what's funny about the tests that we have for these tests that we have in file? Is this. This kind of test doesn't really validate during normal times of the year, but in year end, that's when we've had all of our validations for 10, 15, some % increases, as high as 20. That's when we have our validations. So when you got that with those people that are ready to make that gift, make sure that they feel like they're in that safe, secure place to put their credit card, okay? Finally, when they get all the way down to the button, all right, don't forget to remind them, okay, your donation, again, is going to do this. I don't believe it. A lot of 31s, I know, a lot of 31s in this presentation, but it's true, okay? It's true, right? There's no risk in you adding that text. I have not have a single test where adding that text hurt me, right? No risk. So, I'll give you a little summary of those 7 things, but first, John, you promised, what other things should I be doing on my website, especially during that final week? When I mean final week, I mean December 27 to December 31, the Super Bowl of giving, okay, at least here in the United States, right? Even in Canada. I had one attendee, a little shout out, I forgot your name, sorry. A little shout out, they sent me information from Canada Helps platform. They found the same thing. The vast majority of giving happens in that last month, and there's a lot that happens in those last days. Okay, so here's some things that you should be doing on those last days. Okay, number 1, if you've got space for banner ads, use them for you. Okay, for example, here's a homepage banner. Check it out. From 12/6 to 12/13 of last year, it had a 1.1% increase in conversion. But take a look at the last week, 4.6. That's crazy. You don't see those kind of conversion rates with banners. Okay, that's because again, the closer they got to the end, right, the more of the effect, okay? And make sure, here's a little tidbit, a little side quest for you. If you emphasized a match or some kind of incentive, I'm finding that you need to re-emphasize that in these banners, okay? Not just focus on the value proposition, make sure you re-emphasize the incentive as well, okay? Pop-ups. I know, you're like, oh, I hate pop-ups. Everybody hates pop-ups. But you know what? Pop-ups are your friend, especially when it comes to inspiring generosity. All right? Focus on the family. Ran a little test, okay? Okay, they used to do, they had a pop-up, all right? What we did was we removed it, okay? All right, we removed it and we did a little test, right? And this is a pop-up that sent people to the donation page. Check it out. Red is no, blue is yes, okay? Red's doing good, doing good, doing good, doing good. Doing good, doing good, but look what happens after Christmas. Blue, right? All of a sudden, you start seeing a little bit difference. And the only reason, and it was really, the divide was really big. This test was a wash, but when you actually look at the data, the smart thing to do is no pop-up here, pop-up here, okay, in that final week, okay? Pop in that final week. In fact, we tested this with another organization, right? Instead of doing an exit intent, we did a pop-up. You know what the difference is, right? You want to know what the difference is between the two? Exit intent is when somebody's going, oh, I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave. Wait! Okay? Pop-up is they're just browsing them. Okay? Does that make sense? So when we did the exit intent actually decreased donations. Now again, we're approaching validity here. We're talking about like the final week. We're talking about the final days. Trying to get as much data as possible. So not quite 95%. But enough for me to say, listen, it's okay. The pop-up is okay those last few days, okay? Editorials, blogs, social posts. I'm sure you've got a blog. Write about what? The impact that you're making and the need that you have for the next year, right? This nonprofit was doing a final week preparation year-end campaign. And you know what they did? This is what they did. They had this is the Daily Signal again, they had a news site, okay? And so they decided to do 6 different articles. Check it out, December 20, December 21, December 26, December 27, December 28, December 29. And what did all of those articles really focus on? Again, the need and the impact, and they didn't contain any kind of extra donation ask or link. They were just formatted like every other article on the site. You've got a blog, probably, okay? This is a great opportunity. If they're already on your site, they're already reading, because when this organization did it, they saw a significant increase in donations, and it didn't cost them anything more to put those articles on. It just cost them time, okay? So my advice to you, again, is if you have a blog, you have, write about the things that are making a difference, okay? Also, global navigation. Except on your donation page, we talked about that, right? Okay, all right. Check it out. Going from here to a more visible place, instead of all this other stuff, more clicks. We're going from no donate button that oh look, it's right here, guys. Did you see that? How long did it take you to find that donate button? To donate button. Whoa, big jump in clicks. Oh, look, it's a Daily Signal again. Where's the donate button? Oh no, it's right here. Increase in donations. And then finally, make my gift here. Where's make my gift here? This particular organization, I learned, had a very, very highly motivated audience. That's why that one little button made such a massive difference. I mean, you can change the donation page left and right. Wouldn't do anything. The generosity. So we got to get more people there. Well, the obvious answer is, well, make it easy. Your highest motivation for giving is that last week. Make sure it's easy for somebody to find if they're not coming from an email. Okay? My advice to you when it comes to anything else other than your emails, your direct mail, and everything else that you're doing, make sure you're more present than usual. That giving an opportunity, that ask, is more present than usual in the final days, the final 5. Okay? So let's do a little summary, a little wrap up, then we can get some questions if we got some time. Okay? 7 strategies. All right? I promised I would review them with you. Here they are. First, be clear. Where are they at? Okay, what's the effect? Okay, what is their impact? Be clear. Clear, 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 clear. Okay, intensify their attentiveness. Use narrative. Okay, strategic use of images, right? Don't take them away from the message too long. Okay, increase that medium engagement, right? Keep them tight, keep them close, all right? You're hugging, don't let go of that hug, right? Increase their urgency to act. Straightforward, countdown clocks. There might be some other ways for you to do that too. Encourage them socially, all right? Let them know that others are giving too. Let them know that they're on a winning team, that you guys are really close to the goal and that they could be a part of making that goal, okay? Meet their relational expectations. If you know that people are giving a lot of, the average gift is a lot higher, you might want to test an open field, but definitely don't force them into a recurring gift. Let them feel like they've made that single gift, or let them make the decision to make the recurring gift. Give them a reason to, okay? And then finally, reassure them. Everybody needs a little reassurance, Everybody needs a little bit of reassurance, especially when they're on that donate button. They're like, should I do this? Because remember, the emotional climax is like really faded at that point. You got to wake them back up. Wake them back up. And then those 4 little extras, right, for your December 26 to 31 site, if you have banner ad space, use it for you. Reemphasize your incentive. Use pop-ups. And you know what I mean? Yes, it's annoying, but we're capturing people, we're capturing motivation and directing them. They want to find your donation page. Or maybe they want to donate and you need to help them get there fast. Okay? Blog about what it is that you're doing. Don't just write a blog and say donate. Write a blog about what's going on. Again, that's increasing their, get them emotionally invested. And finally, make your donation button pop on your global nav. Now, once they get to the donation page, you don't want to use it again to make them scroll. If you have to have it there, it's just going to refresh the page, okay? So let the navigation be quite literally exactly the same so they know that there's nothing that's changed. Okay, don't do anything special there. Just because you say it once doesn't mean that you shouldn't say it again. Not just in your emails, your direct mails. Say it again on your site. Say it again on your donation page. Say it again on all these other different places, especially that last week. Okay? That way, again, the thing that got them connected in the first place, they stay close to it. Okay? Because that's the thing that's going to carry them all the way through to making that gift. All right? People get distracted. It happens. That's why we send more than one email during year end. Okay? And if you want that template that you were looking at, we call it a campaign donation page. There are some very specific year-end case studies that you get to see today. Okay, so those are very case-specific, which is great. But if I would say this page all the way up to like maybe December 28, December 27 is going to be your best friend. Okay, and at that point you could probably tweak your general donation page in like one of the case studies that we showed. So here's this link should be active. If not, just let us know. We'll make sure we get it sent out to you in the email afterwards. Now, what are your questions?
Thanks so much, John. Super cool stuff. I love every time you present. I mean, I always pick up on brand new things, so I'm super grateful for it.
Awesome.
We have one question in so far. If you have other questions, feel free to submit them in this little chat tool to the right of your screen. But yeah, I'm looking here. We have one question from Daniel, and we might actually need some clarification from him. So I'll tee it up here. But Daniel, if I don't understand this fully, feel free to clarify. He says, is it better to have the donate button above your story? I'm assuming he means copy above your story at the top of your page, or your donate button at the end of your story at the bottom of your page.
Here's what I'm going to recommend. So even in emails too, like when you give somebody the donate button, you're giving them permission to basically disconnect from your content and then go straight into that transactional process, right? So if you're in an email, right, if you have it too quick, too high on the page, then what's going to happen is you're going to give them permission to go right into the page and they miss all of that stuff, right? And so usually if you're going to have a call to action that's high in an email, it's going to be very kind of low commitment and very vague. We don't put that donate call to action till the end. In the same way on a page, you want them to actually go through the content that's leading up to it, okay? And if you have enough traffic, I would test it, but ultimately, I'm finding more and more that the more copy that you give them, especially from a specific campaign, the more likely you're able to just keep them connected to the reason they came and then let that drive them through the transactional process.
That's helpful. Thank you so much, John. And Daniel, if there's another way you're wanting us to answer that question, feel free to send that in. But yeah, good question. We have another one from Lisa, and I'm interested in the answer to this too. She says, how do these tactics relate to major giving? And for their organization, they're defining a major donor as someone who gives $1,200 or more. John, do we have any data specific to major donors interacting on either this type of donation page or maybe more broadly, just interacting online in general?
You know, a lot of these tests are actually appealing to the vast majority. So you're not your major givers. And you know, we've done the study on the mid-donor crisis, right? And the mid-level giver. But I would say that these principles apply on the human nature kind of side of it, is that if you have a major giver, right, you don't want them to be going to some page that everybody else is going to. You want them to feel incredibly special. In fact, I remember a for-profit email example from my olden days where somebody actually segmented their top 1% to 2% of buyers, or the people that spent the most, that either gave the most or spent the most, and sent them a very specific email campaign. And by sending them that very specific email campaign, they were able to create a connection with them that they couldn't necessarily create with some other thing. So my advice to you is this. What we're learning here is that when you have one message here that connects with somebody, you need to carry it through all the way to the action, right? And the more specific it is to a particular group, the better, right? So what you want to do with your major givers is you don't want to send them the same campaign. You want to send them a slightly different campaign. You want them to know, yes, I know that I'm talking to you, major giver, and I've got a special experience just for you. And you know you are not going to have a gift array on that page. It's going to be completely open-ended. Or it might start with the amount that they give last time or last year. So what I could tell you is this. Use our understanding of human nature to optimize the campaigns that you're working on. And as far as major giving data, I'm going to have to reach out to Kevin. I'm going to have to reach out to Jeff to try and see if we have anything specific. Because I'm sure they've run these types of campaigns, but they may not be documented well in the library, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, John. Thank you so much. Yeah, and the mid-level crisis study is interesting too. I mean, we kind of defined a mid-level donor, I believe, from $1,000 up to $5,000. So everybody kind of defines that group a little bit differently. So it's hard to say, one person's major donor is somebody else's mid-level, and we all treat them kind of differently. So I think in this case, you raise a really good point of looking at more the psychology that's behind it, not necessarily driven by the amount that they're giving, although there can be differences. There's a new question from Rolf. Rolf is wondering, would you recommend a one-page donation process or a multi-page approach?
I'm going to recommend a one-page, and I'll tell you why. Every time the screen flashes, so you click and then you're back, what happens is it's almost like in Men in Black when they hold up that little thing and that light flashes and they forget. I've seen that happen a lot, and it's not just in the not-for-profit space, but also in the for-profit space, right? Every time you flash the screen, that kind of value that was kind of helping them get through all that process begins to start disappearing. The only way that we've been able to make like multi-page cart-like situations work is when you re-emphasize the value on every single page, or every, you might take an aspect and you might re-emphasize it on one particular page. You might have a testimonial on the next page. Because I know some of you can't even get out of it. You're like, John, this is the way it is now. I can't change it. So if you're in that case, you need to re-emphasize the value, re-emphasize the value, re-emphasize the value. But in the not-for-profit space, in the for-profit space, every time I do a single page, it seems to fare better because they just don't lose the value that's helping them drive through the transactional process. There's no flash, there's no Men in Black, you forgot. So I would recommend one page if you can, with your value, your headline and all of that, and then the transaction, and you remind them. It's all on one page for them to see. But if you're stuck with the other way, remind them at every step of the way what's going on.
John, only you would use a Men in Black analogy to help answer the question, and I love it so much. I hope the people listening do too. We're over time by like 3 minutes here, but we'll answer one more question. If you have additional questions, feel free to continue to drop them in this chat, or you can email John directly at john@nextafter.com. But we'll answer this last question from Jenny. Jenny's wondering, she's saying, our campaign is a paper letter with a pledge card, and online is new. And I think there's a lot of organizations in the same position. So we can only have one online donation page. So do you have any tips for someone that's kind of in that boat? Online is new. They only have one page, maybe don't have the IT resources to be able to spin up a brand new page. Where do you go first?
Here's what I would do. My guess is that you have one campaign that's consistent across the board. You probably have your direct mail emphasizing it. Maybe you've got some emails, maybe one email or two emails. But you've got some kind of theme. You've got some kind of campaign that you're focusing on. What I would definitely do is, especially during that last week where everybody's pretty much seeing the same message, add stuff like your progress bars, your countdown clocks, even to your general donation page. You can do like a year-end messaging on your general donation page. I've never found a test yet in our library, and maybe one of the guys can correct me, where having a year-end specific message on the general donation page in the final few days actually hurt. In a lot of cases, it was usually an incremental bump. But it's, again, the countdown clocks, the progress bars, the social encouragement, all of those little things you can add, especially on that last week, right? That's what I would recommend. And if you know that your campaign kind of has that same message, I wouldn't discourage you from making the page kind of talk about those things. You can address those things on the page. So that's kind of what I would recommend. And that's the best you can do. That's still okay. Focus on that last week, the Super Bowl of giving. Make those changes there. I don't think you're going to find that it hurts you because the motivation is so high that if something is a little bit too specific, there's going to be people that aren't going to be hurt as much because it's so specific, right? And that's one of the big differences between a general and a campaign page. So the general page has to be kind of a little bit vague so that people can fit themselves in. But that last week is like, motivation is so high. And because of that, those people, they can kind of put up with it. But the people that need that little bit of acceleration, that little bit of movement, that specific messaging will help. So I would focus on that last week. Make those changes, plan on making them the last week, get all your tech ready. It's probably going to take you that long anyway to get it ready, right? If you haven't been messing with it. That's what I would do.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jon. And Jenny, if you have more questions about that, or anyone has more questions you want to dive deeper, again, feel free to email Jon directly. Jon, your inbox is going to fill up here, but it's jon@nextafter.com. The very last thing that I think we have today, Jon, I don't know if you showed it or not, but our next webinar is coming up December 4th. And it's the last one for the year. It's the last one in this year-end series that we've been going through, and it's pretty unique. So you can go to nextafter.com/webinar. You can register for it. And when you do that, you can actually send in your year-end donation page or a year-end email appeal. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick a bunch of those. We'll try to get through as many as we can, and we're going to live optimize them. So you can see exactly how Jon and Tim and our whole panel of optimizers would approach that page with new optimization testing strategies in order to boost your revenue in December. So again, that's nextafter.com/webinar. Go check that out, go register, and we'll send that link out in the follow-up email too, so you have that. Jon, anything else? Any closing words?
No closing words. Just don't leave them hanging. Don't leave people hanging. Continue the conversation. Keep it going all the way to the end.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jon. Appreciate your time. As always, thank you everyone for listening and watching and sending in your questions and comments today. Much appreciated. We'll have a recording to you later this evening. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.